Hello everyone, and welcome to this virtual Open Day session. My name is Kneafsey. I'm an assistant professor here in the Department of Political Science at Trinity College, Dublin, and I'm also the module instructor for Introduction to Political Science A, taken by our first years here at Trinity. Today I want to talk to you about why you should consider studying political science at Trinity and how you can go about doing so. So the purpose of this presentation is ultimately to answer four simple but core questions. First, what is political science and what does it involve? Second, why should you study political science? Third, why should you study political science specifically with us here at Trinity? And fourth, how can you go about studying political science at Trinity? So that first question, what is political science? So political science is a social science. Social sciences involve the study of human society and of human behavior. Social sciences help us understand how society is structured, how it functions, how it works. And similarly, social sciences help us to understand why individuals behave the way they do, what individuals' motivations are, what their incentives are. There are a number of different social sciences: sociology, economics, political science. Each of these focuses on how society is structured, how it functions, how it works, why individuals behave the way they do, but each focuses on a particular sphere of human activity. These are certainly interrelated, they overlap, they influence one another, often they're studied together in our programs here at Trinity, but they are all ultimately also distinct bodies of knowledge. Because they focus on different spheres of human activity, ultimately they all have different core emphases. What then is political science specifically? Well, political science is, at its core, the scientific study of politics. So in order to understand what political science is, we need to consider what politics is. There are a number of different ways of thinking about politics. Thinking about what it constitutes, what it involves, what it doesn't. One version is that politics is about the art of government. In this view, politics is essentially about anything having to do with the state, the institutions of the state. And the focus of political science in this view is on the functioning of political institutions, how we govern ourselves. A second approach, a second view, is that politics is actually about public affairs. This is a broader view. In this case, politics is constituted by anything that takes place within the public sphere. So politics is about other public activities beyond the institutions of the state, the role of interest groups, the role of business, etc. Essentially the relationships between groups and how they interact with one another. This is often framed as who gets what, how, when, and what. The definition of politics is about the distribution of resources in this view, and how groups interact and interrelate so as to divide up those resources. A third view, a more negative view in some ways, but potentially a more radical view also, is that politics is about the study of power. Who has it and who doesn't? Who can get others to do what they don't want to do in order to achieve a desired outcome? Who can influence others effectively? In this view, politics can be oppressive. It can be about the oppression of those who don't have power by those who do. It can be about the exclusion of those who don't have power by those who do. But it can also be emancipatory. Politics can be about how oppressed groups, oppressed people make claims and access power in a way that they were not previously able to do. So what then is political science? Well, political science is broadly the study of the ways in which we make decisions regarding how we live together, how we govern ourselves, how we design our institutions, how we distribute resources, how we decide who has power and who doesn't, and how we recognize who has power and who doesn't. There are three major subfields of political science, focusing on these major questions in different ways. First, comparative politics uses the comparative method to look at different ways in which societies govern themselves, different institutional designs in different states, different configurations of how power is distributed, different configurations of how resources are distributed across societies over time. Second, international relations essentially looks at the distribution of resources, the distribution of power, and institutions at the international level. So in this case, competition between states, the distribution of power between states. Finally, political theory focuses on the philosophy of politics, the principles of politics. In particular, political theory goes beyond the analysis of the world as it is, how institutions are configured, how resources are distributed, how power is distributed, to focus on how power should be distributed, how resources should be distributed, how institutions should be designed, what ought to be rather than what is. Why then should you study political science? Well, ultimately, at the core of it all, we have to live together, so we need to create rules in order to do so. And we need to think about what are the fairest, most equitable, and most efficient rules to govern our society. Studying politics tells us about how rules arise, where they come from, and lets us think about how rules, and indeed life, could be different if we were to change things that little bit. Essentially, how could we redesign society, redesign institutions, reallocate resources, redistribute power to create a different kind of society? It lets us think about how much freedom we have, how much control does the state have over us, how much control do we have over the functioning and institutions of the state. Second, political decisions made on our behalf by our elected leaders have an effect on all of our lives, whether we voted or whether we didn't. Politics, political decisions, influence a whole variety of policy outcomes that we experience on an everyday level, both large decisions with large effects and smaller decisions with smaller or more individualized effects. Taxation policy, for example, spending on public services, decisions about how to deal with societal problems and societal challenges, how to deal with problems of mental health, how to deal with problems of substance abuse, whether banks should be bailed out, how should we respond to the pandemic. All of these ultimately are heavily influenced by the configuration of political actors and the decisions that they make. Politics also lets us think about how to resolve conflict. If politics is about deciding how we're going to live together, we need to think about when we disagree. We often disagree ideologically, or in other cases, we're divided along identity lines. Resources are limited, we have competing interests, different ideological configurations, different identity groups make claims on those resources, and politics can help us understand how we should allocate these resources given these variety of competing interests. Political science can also help us understand why identity groups come into conflict with one another, why they clash, and help us think about how we can design a more harmonious society by setting up political institutions, allocating resources, addressing inequities, in order to prevent such clashes from taking place in the future, or to redress configurations of power and resource distributions that have negatively affected oppressed groups in the past. So why then should you study political science? Because politics ultimately affects everything. More practically, you should consider studying political science because it can lead to a variety of exciting careers. It can certainly lead to careers in government. We've had previous graduates who have worked in the public service, in the civil service, both here in Ireland and abroad. We've had graduates who've gone on to work in journalism, in the media, those who've gone on to work in law and in academia, those who've gone on to work in business and in banking, because certainly understanding how the political system works helps you better understand how we can effectively design and understand policy. We have also had graduates go on to work in the third sector, in the NGO sector internationally, and we've had a variety of graduates go on to work in teaching. This is just a set of examples. There are a whole variety of more avenues that you could pursue, and indeed that many of our graduates have pursued in the past. So why study political science here at Trinity specifically? Well, there are a number of reasons to do this. First, because the Department of Political Science here at Trinity is one of the best in the world for its size. It specialises in the empirical study quantitatively of legislative politics, which is at the cutting edge, at the forefront. But it also has a variety of specialists right across the subfields of political science with a broad international diverse outlook. Diverse in both the configuration of the department and who works here, but also diverse in terms of the empirical research methods employed. So how then can you specifically study political science with us here at Trinity? Well, there are a variety of programs, there are a variety of options. Choose the program that suits you. There's history and political science, geography and politics, law and political science. There's the broader based programs such as PPES, which allows you to study philosophy, politics, and the other social sciences. There's the BEST program, which is a broad program which allows you to study business, economics, political science amongst the other social sciences. And indeed, there are other programs beyond this, such as European studies, which also have major political science components. So what kind of courses, what kind of modules can you take with us here in the Department of Political Science at Trinity? Well, across your 4 years, you'll have a variation in the amount of choice that you will have. In first year, you will either take combined Introduction to Political Science A and B, or Politics in Irish Society A and B, depending on your program. You'll also take introductory modules in economics and in sociology, depending on your program. In second year, you have some choice. You can choose to take History of Political Thought, a political theory course, History of Political Thought A, which can be taken either alone or with History of Political Thought B, focuses on the period from the Greeks to the Renaissance, the development of political ideas in that period. History of Political Thought B, again, can be taken by itself or with History of Political Thought A, focuses on modernity and its critics, and the development of political ideologies in the period since the Renaissance. You can also take International Relations as an alternative option, either together or alone. International Relations A and B. International Relations A focuses on the broad theoretical frameworks of international relations. International Relations B focuses more on specific topic case studies and focuses on treaties. Your third option in second year is to take Comparative Politics A, be it Comparative Politics A and B, or just one versus the other. Comparative Politics A focuses on the comparative politics of democracies. Comparative Politics B focuses on the politics of the developing world. In third year, you have a whole variety of choice. From third year onwards, essentially all modules are electives. You choose those you wish to focus on, those you wish to specialize in, those you're particularly interested in. In third year, you can take Research Methods for Political Science, A and B, Semester 1 and Semester 2, which focuses on quantitative and qualitative research methods for the scientific analysis of politics. This is also a prerequisite for our capstone program, which I'll talk about in a moment. Alternatively, you can take Irish Politics A and Irish Politics B. Irish Politics A focuses on political institutions in the Republic of Ireland. Irish Politics B focuses on governance and the public sphere in the Republic of Ireland, and on politics, conflict and post-conflict in Northern Ireland. If you're interested in democracy and development, we have two modules here, focusing on why societies democratise and when, and indeed how states can achieve economic development. We also have courses in European politics focused on the European Union, an area of speciality and strength for the department. The Semester 1 module is European Union Politics A, which can be taken alone or with European Union Politics B in the second semester. We also have courses, taught in this case by myself, on political violence. Political Violence A, which can be taken alone, focusing on broad theoretical frameworks, understanding why political violence and conflict takes place across time and space. And Political Violence B, which can also be taken with A or stand alone by itself, focused on case studies of conflict around the world, looking at contemporary conflict in Yemen, in Syria, conflicts previously in Northern Ireland, conflicts in Sri Lanka, conflicts going all the way back to the Spanish Civil War and the Irish Civil War. We also have some additional one-term modules. Those ending with 1 take place in Semester 1, those ending with 2 take place in Semester 2. We have had courses this year in public opinion, in political participation, in the politics of the United States, in the European Court of Justice and other famous courts, and we have a course that involves a focus on the development of your own personal career and the development of a portfolio to help you achieve a successful career once you graduate from Trinity. In fourth year, in final year, you have the option to undertake the capstone program, our dissertation program, a new innovative program in which individual students perform and partake in their own individual research project, but they also work alongside their peers in a themed group. The variety of themes that are available changes from year to year. This year we have courses in political violence, we have dissertations that are being worked on media politics, on political alienation, on forecasting conflict. If you choose to take this program, which you must in one of your programs in Trinity, be it political science or in another department, you should take research methods in third. Also in fourth year, you can take issues in contemporary politics in which students focus on specific topics that they are particularly interested in, they research it, they engage with the literature, and they provide presentations to their peers. We have courses in contemporary international relations, building on the second year modules, but bringing it further up to date, contemporary international relations A and B. We also have courses in African politics, we have courses in transparency in modern democracies, courses on political parties, on autocracy, on human rights, on political psychology, on interest groups, on economic inequality and democracy, on the military and politics. We also have modules focused very much on contemporary topics such as right-wing populism and contemporary democracies, ethnic politics and identity, political change in the Republic of Ireland, a variety of modules that include modules on contemporary topics in political theory, We also have modules on electoral accountability and parliamentary systems. There is a whole variety of choice once you get to third and fourth year. Essentially, you start narrow and then you broaden out to choose those modules that you're particularly interested in. So then if you have questions about any of our programs, if you have questions about anything that I've talked about today, if you have questions about how you can go about studying politics at Trinity, then please do get in touch with us. Email the department, polsci@tcd.ie, and we'll be very happy to answer any questions that you have. Also, similarly, lecturers in the department are often very interested in what students are thinking about studying and are happy to answer any questions if you get in touch with them. Their contact details are listed on the department website. Thank you very much for your attention, and I really hope you'll consider studying with us in the Department of Political Science at Trinity.